Hi class, we're in math again. We're on a different subject. Yesterday was comparing. Today is finding a part of a whole. I'm going to tell you a secret. It's fractions. I know you're thinking, yes, fractions. No, I really know you're not. You're thinking, great, another fractions. Well, they're not going away. 5th grade has a lot of fractions. You should know that by now. Alright, so finding a part of a whole, or on page 239. It says to find what part a lesser number is of a greater number, write the lesser number over the greater number to make a fraction. If necessary, reduce the fraction to the lowest terms. All it's saying, guys, is to put the smaller number on top of the bigger number. Ooh, that marker's squeaky. Let's get rid of that one. That's all it's saying is put the smaller number over the bigger number. And then reduce if you can. That's all it is. Final part of a whole is fractions. That's all it is fractions. And I know some of you are thinking, oh, fractions. I know it. I can see some of you right now thinking that and making that face going, ooh. Okay. Have my moment. Okay. So all we're doing is creating a fraction, and if you can, reduce it. Look at that example. It says 9 hours to 36 hours. All right. So you have 9 hours over 36 hours. Well, when you look at that, you should be able to tell it can be reduced. Think about this right here. GCF. Greatest common factor. That's how you reduce a fraction. Told you, you can't forget this. If you need to write it out, go ahead. You can already tell this can be reduced. It can be reduced by 9. And it can be reduced to 1/4. That's as small as that fraction can go. So all you're doing is taking two numbers, putting the smaller number on top, the bigger number on bottom, and making it a fraction, and then reducing it if you need to. That's all you're doing. It's not very hard. I mean, it might be at first, but you got the class, you have been working with fractions since before Christmas. All right. Okay, class, I'm going to do the first 3 word problems with you. I know you guys do not like word problems, but you're going to have them anyways, regardless. Okay? So let's look at 1A on page 239, because that's the page we're on. Brian volunteered to help Mr. Jackson work in his garden over the summer. He worked a total of 27 hours. Mr. Jackson insisted on paying Brian for 9 hours. For what part of the time he worked was he paid? So it said he worked 9 hours. Well, the smaller number is 9. 9 goes on top of 27. If I erase the HR, you have a fraction. 9 over 27. We can reduce that. Think about it. What can we reduce by? Just think what those two numbers have in common. They can be reduced by 9. And the answer would be 1/3 of time paid. Okay, look at B. Mr. Jackson had 48 rows in the garden. He planted peas in 6 of the rows. What part of the garden was planted in peas? Well, what's the smallest of the two numbers, 6 or 48? 6 goes on top, 48 goes on bottom. Look there, we've got a fraction. We are going to have to reduce this fraction. Think about what they have in common. Remember, when you find the GCF, you're writing the multiplication facts down. 1, 2, 3, 6. 1 times 6, 2 times 3 equals 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 6, the greatest common factor, you're going to divide by 6. It's 1/8 of rows of peas. So don't forget how to do the GCF, the greatest common factor. When you reduce fractions, that's what you do, in case you forgot. Okay, let's look at C. Mr. Jackson gathered 32 bushels of apples. He sold 30 bushels of them. What part of the apples did he sell? Well, you have the numbers 30 and 32. There's not a lot of difference in those, but the smaller number goes on top, the bigger number on bottom. Now, you have to really think what they might have in common. I can tell you right now, you're going to have to reduce by 2. Think about what that bottom number could be when you're reducing that fraction. So it's 15 over 16 of apples sold. So that's all you're doing with finding a part of a whole. You're taking the two numbers it gives you, make it a fraction, reduce if possible. So for number 2, for A through D, you're going to have to reduce all of those fractions that you make. Just remember, you put the smaller number on top and then reduce. The smaller number's on top, the bottom's number on bottom, you made that fraction and reduce it. That's all you're doing, guys. So, if you have any questions, please let me know and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Bye, class. I really hope I can see you soon.